And it instantly reminded me of Adam Snyder because I used to ride around with Adam and Mitchell after
Oh
school,
shit, that's right.
and we would just blare the Tenacious D album. And I
Oh,
texted Adam at like 1:30 in the morning some obscure Tenacious D quote, and then at like 6:30 in the morning he responded back with the very next line. And I'm like, yeah, Adam, love that
well,
guy.
that makes me think of riding around after baseball games, listening
Yeah,
to it all the fucking time.
it just reminds me. Honestly, I don't have like Mitchell's number, but it reminds me of Mitchell Snyder way more than Adam because that dude was intense with it.
Yeah, yeah.
And grab his scrot.
I'm so
Dude,
glad I got that recorded. I'm keeping it in there too. So,
classic.
well, shit, man. Do we
All
want to
right.
get this
Yeah, let's
underway?
do
Do
it
your
up.
little intros and stuff.
All right. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Jaron, and I'm with.
Oh, am I
Say
supposed
your
to say
name.
my name now?
Say
I'm
your name right
Zach.
there.
Fucking
This
amateur.
is our podcast where we spend about an hour of our lives discussing, debating, and ultimately ranking movies of a particular category. We are called the Average Jives. We are not professional critics. We don't claim to be the smartest moviegoers. We're just a couple of high school friends who grew up and love to talk about movies, which makes us a couple of average jives.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That's our intro music there.
Oh shit.
And this week we are ranking our favorite and what we consider the best Denzel movies. And we do have to put a disclaimer here. It's not necessarily the best Denzel movies. It's what we believe to be the best Denzel performances. Am I right
Oh,
on that, Zach?
pretty close. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's a
should
combination.
should I do my hot take before or after we introduce the movies?
You need to save that hot take.
Okay.
Save that hot take until we get deeper in the pod because this is going to be a
Okay.
whole another conversation.
All right. All right.
For those listeners not familiar with how we do our podcast, Zach and I each pick 5 movies that we believe are the best or the ones that we enjoy the most of each category. Then we both have a top 10, and the majority of the pod is us discussing and debating and ultimately coming up with our own top 10 of that category. So, to get it started, Zach and I will each introduce the 5 movies we picked, and then we'll get into the meat of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good intro,
Zach, I think
Jaron. Good intro.
I went first last time, so you go ahead with your first one.
Oh, you want? Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Now, the first one I'm introducing isn't one of his more well-known films, or not. I mean, there might have been better picks out here, but like Jaron said, this is our list, and I went with 2016 Fences. It was
Mm,
directed by Denzel Washington himself, and he got a Best Director nomination for his efforts. Screenplay is based on August Wilson's own Pulitzer and Tony Award winning play. It's co starring Viola Davis and Stephen McNeely Henderson. I think you know how bad I am with names, so, but whatever.
not great, yeah.
You're not great. Anyways, Denzel Washington plays Troy Maxson, a working class African American father raising his family while coming to terms with the events of his life. I got a little note from Owen Gleiberman of Variety. A simply extraordinary film without crashes, bangs, and wobbles, but full of towering performances delivered with intelligence, power, and heart. And one of the main reasons I kind of put it on the list was Jaron may or may not remember, but I've always kind of enjoyed the stage to screen films. I don't know when I started liking that. seen a few plays in my days, and I think there's something about being able to entertain somebody with only one or two interior shots and maybe one exterior like this film has, and still make an entertaining product. So that's that's why I enjoyed. That's probably one of the reasons I enjoyed Fences as much as I did. But and that's the way the
Yeah, and I
cookie.
gotta say, I haven't seen as many plays as you, but and I specifically have not seen this play, but I have to think it's a pretty good rendition of its original work. We'll get into my thoughts about the movie itself the further we go along, but
Okay.
very much enjoyed it, to be honest.
Oh, good, good. Always kind of curious. We
Uh,
yeah, when we watch the movies ourselves, we don't usually tell each other how we feel about it in the middle of watching it. So for those listening, I didn't know Jaren's take on this film prior to the recording. So, but
yeah, and I had not seen it until Zach put it on his list, and we'll talk about it when we get to it.
okay,
My first movie, a very lesser known Denzel movie, not one of his particularly recognized films, but one that I have a personal connection to. Out of Time. It came
mm-hmm.
out 2003. Like I said, it's a little known Denzel movie. It stars Denzel, Dean Cain, and Ava Mendez, and was directed by Carl Franklin, who also did, I believe, Denzel's kind of breakout movie in Devil in a Blue Dress.
Yeah, yeah.
The writer was Dave Collard, who it kind of blew me away when I was researching him. He actually did 14 episodes of Family Guy.
Oh no, shit. I
With
didn't know that.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
yeah.
and I don't know how that plays into his movie, acumen, but I mean, if this guy's writing Family Guy episodes, I got to say it's pretty entertaining. The movie's about Denzel plays Matthias Whitlock. He's a chief of police for a small town Florida community, and is a classic wrongfully accused story where Denzel must stay ahead of the others in order to clear his name. Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars, which I was kind of surprised in.
Me too.
And it said, in a movie like this, I'm not looking for realism, I'm looking for style to the genre material. So,
Yeah,
as I said, it's a classic wrongfully accused story, which has been done for years and years in Hollywood. So, you're not looking for a storyline you're going to get deep into, but it's about how they get along to the end. And
yeah.
a fantastic movie that we will talk about when we discuss the movies.
Okay, okay. I got my thoughts on it. So
Good.
not as deep as yours, I'm sure, but
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's your second movie, Zach?
Okay, I got Glory from 1989, directed by directed by Edward Zwick, who received a Golden Globe nomination for directing this film. He was also a Primetime Emmy winner for writing a TV show called 30 something. I've never seen it nor have I heard it before, and he also won an Oscar for producing Shakespeare in Love. I also something I've never seen, but the screenplay was by Kevin Jarre, who also wrote Rambo First Blood prior to Glory, then after wrote the screenplay for a movie we both love, Tombstone. And
Mm.
just a quick interesting tidbit on Kevin Jarre. He was the stepson of composer Maurice Jarre, who did the score for one of our favorite films, one of the greatest movies ever made, Lawrence of Arabia. Just a
Oh,
little
yeah. We're
little
we're
tidbit
both
for
big
that.
fans. Both
Yes,
big fans.
yes. And it's
Which will
co-starring.
probably be coming up in other pods.
Oh, for sure, dude. Maybe multiple times. You never know. So,
Yeah.
but it is co-starring Matthew Broderick, Morgan Freeman, Carl Ewells, and Andre Broder. Or what? Oh shit! How do you say that? He's on Brooklyn Nine. No, it doesn't matter. I was
Um.
probably close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Denzel plays former slave private Tripp, who volunteers to fight under the 25-year-old Bostonian Colonel Robert Gould Shaw of the 54th Massachusetts Regiments of Black Soldiers, who eventually come together for liberty and equality. Now, according to Rotten Tomato, the film is bolstered by
Mm.
exceptional cinematography, powerful storytelling, and an Oscar-winning performance by Denzel Washington. Glory remains one of the finest Civil War movies ever made. And I'll also add a little Roger Ebert note: a strong and valuable film, no matter whose eyes it is seen through. And you know how much I love this movie, so
Yeah, and as you're well aware, but maybe our listeners aren't aware, I don't care about Rotten Tomatoes, but
that's true.
I have to say this: it's accurate. Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
a
I
bunch of
don't normally.
nobodies who like to voice their opinion, but
Well, Rotten Tomatoes,
yeah,
I
more
thought had
thoughts
the
on more.
best. Yeah, I thought Rotten Tomatoes had the best written review, so that's why I used them because I'm not a Rotten Tomatoes guy either. So, but I figured
uh,
I'd use it for this
Typical.
one.
Yeah, and I have thoughts on that as well. Another movie that Zach put on his list that I had not watched, even though it has been hailed as one of the best Civil War movies and one of the best Denzel performances. Uh, I I have thoughts. I was blown away. I
Oh,
really
really?
enjoyed the movie.
Shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
My second movie, Inside Man, which
Mm-hmm.
if anybody's a fan of Denzel, they've definitely seen.
Oh, for sure,
This
dude.
movie came out in 2006 and was directed by none other than Spike Lee, so he called it a Spike Lee joint.
Mm-hmm.
It stars Denzel, obviously Clive Owen, Jodie Foster, and Christopher Plummer. Synopsis on it, a little bit about it again if you haven't seen it. Bank robbers form an elaborate plan for a hostage heist of a bank, leading Denzel's character, playing a detective on the case, to try and keep everyone alive while staying in front of the robbers. So, very surprisingly, Roger Ebert gave it 2.5 out of 4 stars.
Ooh. Huh.
Reading his review, he definitely enjoyed the movie, but the line that I took from his review, quote, goes into too much difficulty to arrive at too little.
Oh.
So I'm not sure if he, wasn't impressed by the ending or what, but yeah, good movie. Definitely could have been better. And it's one of those Denzel movies where he is definitely top billed of the
Mm-hmm.
film, but they do spend a lot of time without him on screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously Clive Owen takes a lot of the time of the movie. Jodie Foster's plugged in with maybe my favorite role of Jodie Foster, to be
Oh, no
honest.
shit. I mean, dude, she does.
Yeah, I
She's great in it, but she's great in a
love
lot
the
of stuff.
character.
So
It's
yeah,
it's something that she hasn't done, where she kind of plays
a
a little
villain
bit
a little bit.
sexy.
Oh yeah, that's true
Yeah,
too.
she doesn't do that very often.
She's got
And then
great legs,
obviously they spend a lot exactly. They
dude.
spend a lot of time, with the hostages and with the bank robbers themselves. So, although people could say, it's not quite a Denzel movie, I do have it on my list because I really enjoy it. And we'll get into the reasons why here in a little bit.
hmm My turn, brother.
Oh, yeah.
All right, dude. Going with another Spike Lee movie, Malcolm X from 1992, directed, as I said, another Spike Lee joint, not a Michael Scott joint. Let's just be clear on that. Who was directing music videos for a while until the success of Do the Right Thing, and was kind of a
Hmm.
pupil of Martin Scorsese when Martin Scorsese was teaching at NYU. Now the film is based on the autobiography of Malcolm X with an assist by Alex Haley, who wrote it with him, obviously penned it with him. And the screenplay was by Arnold Pearl and Spike Lee. It's co-starring Angela Bassett and Delroy Lindo from one of our favorites, Get Shorty, dude. You gotta love it.
Mm. Wow, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know that. Okay.
Oh, you knew that. You had to know that. I'm just kidding, dude.
Get Shorty, for those who don't know Zach and I personally, it's one of our
Go
more
to.
favorite films.
Yes, we
Exactly.
quote it quite a bit. Yeah.
quote
But
it very often.
yeah, yeah. With cameo had a Spike Lee in it, and as well as a usual Spike Lee alum who's also in Inside Man, Christopher Plummer. So, and a little
Hmm.
detail about it: it's a biopic, and Denzel plays the African American nationalist leader Malcolm X. From being a small-time crook to to a feature in Time magazine, the film covers his incarceration to his ministry and his eventual assassination. And let me scroll down here.
I mean, and I would almost call it an epic.
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah,
You know,
there's a
you know,
lot of.
I think epics, yeah, are normally for westerns and sprawling vistas and things like that. But the amount of time they took in the film covering his early life to the end of the life and everything they base upon, it's a hell of a film.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's quite long too, but it's one of those films. As you're watching it, you don't really realize that you're like only halfway, and it's. I mean, there's like a. You were like, holy crap! Like I'm 2 hours into this, and 2 hours just flew by like that. So the time passes pretty quick, which is that's what that's how you know it's a good movie. But
And then after
uh
2 hours, you're like, wow, we still have an hour and 10 minutes to go.
yeah, I know. And here's a quick review on Malcolm X. As the black leader, he is a triumph, an intimate and engrossing biographical saga that is also one of the most passionate political films ever made in this country. It is a shock that at first you see Lee tone down his trademark razzle dazzle, the whirling bumblebee camera work, and the stylized blast of comedy and rage to make a lavishly conventional Hollywood biopic. Yet the middle brow epic form hasn't flattened out Lee's personality. That's another Owen Glimmerman, but he was at
Mm,
Entertainment Weekly at that time.
yeah,
But yeah,
Bumblebee tuna,
this movie, yeah, we can. Well, again, we'll probably go into it a little bit more, but this was one of those.
definitely.
It, yeah, I don't get blown away very often, and Denzel performance actually blew me away. I was very impressed by it.
Yeah, this is another movie on Zach's list that I have not seen, even though I am a big Denzel fan, opposed to my colleague here. And I had never watched it. And again, I have a lot of thoughts that I think you will probably be surprised about.
Good, good. I'm usually right when it comes to this,
Next on the
so I'm
list,
just
well, you don't get surprised very often, but
yeah, yeah.
next on my list, the 2007 film American Gangster,
Hmm.
directed by our boy Ridley Scott,
Yep.
starring Denzel, Russell Crowe, Josh Brolin, and I'm gonna butcher his name as I always do, uh, Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm not
Dang,
gonna be able to pronounce it, so
yeah. It's something that did surprise me here. The writer Steve Zalian um,
hmm.
was a writer on one of your favorite films,
Yep, yep.
Schindler's List. Also, Bobby Fischer, MI1, or the movie we did on the previous pod, Hannibal, Gangs of New York, Moneyball,
Mhm.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and Scorsese's epic Irishman.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, he's been around, man.
He's
He's
done a
good.
lot. It really surprised me researching this film how involved this writer has been over the last 3 decades in Hollywood.
Yeah. Hmm.
For those who have not seen the movie, it's based very loosely on the real life New York gangster Frank Lucas and his pursuit to be New York's premier heroin dealer.
Hmm.
Now, Roger Ebert, very surprisingly, gave it 4 out of 4 stars.
Nice, nice. Yeah, yeah.
The one line I took from his review, which was pretty much gushing about every aspect of it, is it's an engrossing story told smoothly and well,
Hmm.
which I thought was just succinct.
Yeah.
Oscar nominations for supporting actor and art direction. Very surprisingly, the Oscar nom for supporting director was Rudy D, who actually plays Denzel's mother in the film,
Sure. Yeah,
which
yeah.
for me, rewatching it, was the most heartfelt. scene of the film where she slaps him in the house and says, "You will lose her, or she will leave you. I will
And
leave
then
you.
I will leave you. Yeah, yeah,
I will leave." Yeah, and that was something I remembered even from the first time I watched the film. Yeah, she's just a great actress, and
she is, man.
obviously did not um, win, but was supported. And then I have another quote here from Roger, and says, "Denzel is affable and smooth outside, yet ruthless enough to set a man on fire."
Nice.
which
Perfect timing,
which pretty
dude.
much yeah, which pretty much sets up the film in one of the first scenes, I believe. So
Yeah,
again, one of those movies where Denzel is the main character, but he also plays alongside, Russell Crowe, which takes up
yeah,
a lot of the movie, and then Josh Brolin's character as well. So,
yeah,
one of the movies that Denzel, I believe, plays himself very well, and I think he's in his wheelhouse in American Gangster, where he plays that very stoic but very intimidating character.
yeah,
But the
yeah,
movie does spend a lot of time on other characters and other actors in the film. But
yeah.
we'll get more into that when we discuss it.
When that movie came, I had a lot of hype around that movie back in '07, dude, because it was not only was it Zalian, who I recognized from Schindler's List, but obviously Ridley Scott from Gladiator, Black Hawk Down, but also, I mean, you can't
Hmm.
really go wrong with Russell Crowe and Denzel. But on top of that, Brian Grazer also was the producer,
Exactly.
so it's like, holy shit, man! Like this fucking better sweep the Oscars or some shit. Which, of course, like you said, it didn't, but it was still a pretty good movie.
It did not. Yeah.
But anyways, you were talking
Yeah,
about starting
and
it. Yeah,
Josh Brolin coming off of W and Milk. I mean,
was
I
that
think that
before
was
or after
almost
this?
the height of no, it was right after, and I think that
Yeah,
was pretty
yeah,
much the height of his career.
yeah.
And
He had a hell of
I
a
would have I would have enjoyed more Josh Brolin in the movie, but I get it. It's about Frank Lucas. It's about Denzel's character. So
yeah. Like you said, yeah, that was a hell of a time in Brolin's career for sure.
yeah,
But
has to be mentioned in Denzel's top 10.
yeah, well, you were talking about Man on Fire and Frank Lucas starting somebody on fire. Well, the one I'm introducing next is Man on Fire from 2004, which was directed by the late Tony Scott, who passed away in 2012, who was the brother of Ridley Scott. And since we're on the Denzel pod, Denzel actually starred in four of his last five feature films, and he had worked and Denzel had previously worked with Tony Scott in Crimson Tide with now the late Gene Hackman. When I wrote this up, Gene Hackman was still alive, and now he's passed on. But oh, we'll miss Gene Hackman, which he hasn't been in a movie in a long
Yeah,
time, but that's all right. And it was written
yeah.
by
Welcome to Mooseport.
yeah, that was his last movie, dude. That was a
Yeah.
yeah. It was written by Oscar-winning screenwriter Brian Hedlund, coming off his Academy Award-nominated film Mystic River, which I know you like that one. And the
Love that
film he
movie.
the film he took home the Academy Award for was L.A. Confidential, which is another movie we both like. But
Ooh, another movie. Yeah, I'm very high on.
yeah, it's co-starring Christopher Walken, Dakota Fanning, and Mark Anthony. Denzel plays John Creasy, a troubled former CIA operative who was hired to protect a young girl in Mexico City. After forming a bond with Little Peta, Dakota Fanning's character, she's kidnapped, and Cece, in a way of wrath, seeks revenge on those responsible. And actually had a lot of mixed reviews, surprisingly. But I got this little quote from Paul Davies, who's a journalist, observed that the critical reception of Man on Fire in the United States was somewhat less than kind, largely due to critics' disapproval of Cece's vigilantism. However,
Yep.
audiences polled by Cinescore, CinemaScore gave the film a grade of A minus on a scale from A to F. So I do enjoy this movie. I know you mentioned it during a quick conversation that you had a good rewatch of this film, but we can go into it a little bit more later, I reckon.
Just an enjoyable fucking movie,
Yeah.
honestly. Start to finish. As soon as he puts a grenade up someone's ass, you're like, wow, Denzel's going for it in this one. Yeah.
I wish you had more time.
Yeah. Exactly. next on the list for me, we could not do a Denzel pod without this movie on. I think it was the first time I'd ever seen Denzel in a movie, the 2000 Disney movie, Remember the
Hmm.
Titans.
Nice.
And
Of course.
yeah, starring Denzel, Will Patton, Wood Harris, Donald Faison, Ethan Suplee, Ryan Gosling, Kate Bosworth, Hayden Panettiere as a
Yeah.
very young girl.
Hmm.
Uh, Directed by Boaz Yakin.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's
Probably, yeah, probably not doing him justice. A little known actor director. He honestly has not done much in the way of Hollywood. He did Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, and Now You See Me, which is a movie that I enjoyed.
I don't think I've seen that one.
And then written by Gregory Allen Howard, who also wrote Ali, which was
Oh, nice.
Michael Mann movie, who I
Hmm.
love,
Yep.
and starring Will Smith.
Yeah.
For those who don't know this legendary movie, it's about a 1971 high school football coach, Herman Boone, who Denzel plays, takes over a freshly integrated high school football team and leads them through personal and football success.
Yes.
We will get into this when we discuss it, but the historical inaccuracies of the film, after I've researched it, kind of brings it down in my head. But this is a movie I very much enjoyed when I was in high school, and I know, you and I playing football in high school together. There were several times where we watched this movie before a big game.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Roger Ebert gave it 3 out of 4 stars, which again I was kind of surprised about. He said the movie is very heartfelt, yes, but it plays it safe. And I think had it been directed by a different person and produced by a different company other than Disney, I think it might have been a little more
Yeah.
edgier. I have to say, rewatching it, I kept waiting for Denzel to curse, to say
Yeah. Yeah.
something with, F words somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yeah.
being produced by Disney, they really played it safe. But it's a fun movie. It didn't get any Oscar nominations, but one of the first silver screen of Ryan Gosling, and obviously he went on to,
Yeah. Becoming Oscar nominated.
yeah,
Multiple Oscar Yeah. Yeah. Of
yeah, and then later in my life I would discover The Wire and Wood
course.
Harris, and, you know, Avon Barksdale, and to see, to be into The Wire, and then to see him play this high school football star, very interesting acting range.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Again, we'll go into more of the movie when Zach and I debate. And
Mhm.
I think, was that all 10?
I still got one more, bro.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, my next one is Philadelphia from 1993, directed by Jonathan Demme, the Close-Up King. The picture he
Yeah.
directed prior to this one earned him his only Oscar, and that film was the great 1991 Silence of the Lambs. It's a freaking terrific movie, dude. Written by Ron Neswiner. I don't know, but
Newswater.
yeah, Neswan. Okay. He kind of went back and forth between features and television. He wrote The Painted Veil back in 2006, and then he wrote a few episodes of Ray Donovan and Homeland on Showtime. But
I
the
like that.
film, yeah, the film co-stars Tom Hanks, and this is Tom Hanks' movie. It's like you've mentioned it before, but
It
this
is.
is a little bit different because this is definitely Tom Hanks's role. And the other supporting cast is Richard Robards, Antonio Banderas, and a little role for good old Joan Woodward, who was Paul Newman's wife. But
Hmm.
anyways, for those who haven't seen
And
that,
Robards.
yeah, Robard, yeah, Richard Robards, yeah, and
Classic asshole. Yeah.
oh shit, but dude, it had been a long time since I had seen this movie. Like so much, I've like freaking. You can basically say I freaking didn't see it. I had seen it, but I completely forgot almost all the scenes. But it's about A lawyer who's been diagnosed with AIDS, uh, who has been wrongfully terminated from his job, and then hires Denzel's character Joe Miller to help prove his firing was due to his disease and homosexuality. Nice little Rita Kepling from the Washington Post wrote, "It's less like a film by Demi than the best of Frank Capra. It is not just candy, corny, and blatantly poetic, but compassionate, compelling, and emotionally devastating." So now
Yeah,
we've done
and
10,
like,
bro.
and, no. I have one more as well.
Oh, shit. Okay.
It was gonna be the first film that I introduced, but I skipped it, and I was saving it for last.
Yeah. Well, neither one of us can count, I guess, so that's all
Yeah, I don't know. I went to Milford High School. Like,
right. You can't blame
my
Milford.
last and final movie of Denzel, which I'm sure our listeners are saying, "Where the fuck is this movie at?"
Yeah.
The 2001 classic
Oh,
Denzel
dude.
movie, Training Day,
Yes.
directed by Antoine Fuqua, starring Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke, one of my personal favorites, Scott Glenn, with kind of cameos of Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg.
Hmm.
Written by David Ayer, who was also screenplay for one of my go-to movies. I wouldn't say one of my favorite movies, but Matthew McConaughey, U-571, and
That's
then
not a bad
the
movie, dude.
original Fast and Furious.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I
For
guess I
those
didn't know
people
he did
living under
that.
the
Yeah. Shit.
right, yeah, he wasn't on any of the others, but I would argue that the original Fast and Furious was probably the best movie out
It
of all
was
of
the
them.
best one, hands down. You add him to the mix, and then John Singleton. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's the best one.
what are we doing in Hollywood right now? I don't know.
I don't know.
For those living under a rock for the last 24 years, Training Day is about a fresh rookie narcotics officer, Jake Hoyt, who goes on a ride along with a seasoned detective who is Denzel Washington that leads him on and through the wildest day of his life. Roger Ebert gave this movie 3 out of 4 stars, which
Hmm. This is
kind
surprising.
of took
Another
me a
surprising.
little
Yeah.
aback. I would have thought that it would have been a 4 out of 4, but he what I took from his review is, for Denzel Washington, Training Day is a rare villainous role. He doesn't look, sound, or move like his usual likable characters, and there's certainly no trace of the football coach from Remember the Titans. And then he actually had a footnote, which I think is why he kind of knocked it down a notch. He said, "Will audiences accept this movie in the current climate where cops and firemen are hailed as heroes? I think maybe so. I also think by delaying the movie's opening, Warner Brothers sidestepped a backlash, and Denzel's performance is sure to generate strong word of mouth." Which, anybody who has seen this movie, it's definitely a topic of discussion whenever the name Denzel Washington comes up.
Yeah, for sure.
It is the only Oscar winning movie of Denzel's as a leading actor role. He
Yes.
took home the Oscar, and to say surprisingly, the one and only leading actor Oscar for Denzel Washington, which we're going to go through 10 of our favorite movies. And it's very surprising that he's not won any other roles other than this, which, as Roger said, is a rare villainous role, which I
Yeah.
think he played incredibly well.
No, for sure,
It,
dude.
you
It's
know,
yeah,
I think it has the best line of his entire career in the King Kong,
and I'm pretty
"Ain't
sure
got
he
shit
made
on
that
me."
up too. Yeah, I'm pretty
It
sure he
was
made
ad
that up
libbed on the spot. And Antoine Fuqua was like, "Yes, that's it."
too. Oh shit, man.
All right. So again, for those who don't know, our kind of a format of our podcast. Now we've introduced each of our 5 movies. We'll each kind of go through our top 10 and kind of debate upon where we're going to agree upon the top 10. Again, this isn't the movie as itself. Well, it is, but I think more along the lines, and Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're kind of going off the Denzel performance.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, with some of them, it's hard not to appreciate the movie as a whole. So I think some of them are like that.
Right.
Some like I think that's kind of why I chose Philadelphia because it's a good movie. But
Exactly.
obviously, I mean, and Denzel's performance is good. But as I mentioned earlier, Tom Hanks, it's his
Yeah.
fucking movie, obviously.
It's
So
a Tom Hanks movie for sure,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it has to be mentioned that Denzel, and we'll get into it a little bit when we discuss the movies here. Which, hey, let's dive right in
all
because
right,
guess what? I had Philadelphia at number 10 for me.
okay. I had it at 9, so that's not that far off.
Okay, perfect. Like that. As you said, it's a phenomenal movie. Definitely not a rewatchable movie. Not one that I would go to be like, "Hey, I'm in a
No,
great mood. Let's watch the movie Philadelphia."
yeah, it's definitely a
About
Debbie Downer.
someone,
Which
diagnosed with HIV/AIDS, and then how they kind of work through. But I think it was an important movie at the time of its release.
oh yeah, very important. Yeah, when I was doing
Uh,
research for it, it was a pretty big deal for its time.
yeah,
And to get somebody like
especially,
Hanks to do that, yeah,
yeah, and I think Denzel, he kind of spoke about it in a couple of interviews in my research where he's saying, "Hey, this was a real fear back then, especially as a black man in America. AIDS, HIV was very prevalent, and he kind of admitted, in some scenes, especially the first scene where he meets Tom Hanks's character, he's cordial and he's jovial and he's very friendly, and then as soon as Tom Hanks says he has HIV/AIDS, he
he
kind
pulls
of
his hand away. Yeah, I
slaps his
mean, he's like,
hand,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like looking around at anything that Tom Hanks has touched, and
hmm
that was
He
just
goes to
kind
the
of
doctor
the
the next day and
unfortunate
shit.
stigma of yeah, exactly. And then he kind of has his the conversation with his wife where it kind of reveals in the movie that you know maybe he is a little homophobic, and
Yeah,
maybe there are certain things attached to gay people with HIV where that wasn't necessarily the case. Obviously, I'm a huge Lakers fan, and Magic Johnson, don't think he was a homosexual during the
no,
thing,
no,
but it can be transmitted, right?
easy and
And it was
Easy
a
E
big thing
wasn't.
in America, and unfortunately, Zach and I, weren't very old when this was going on, so we can't speak to it directly, but I'm sure some of our listeners can remember very much the height and the fear of HIV and AIDS in America.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we overlapped each other. But like Easy E from NWA, he also wasn't a
Oh, definitely,
homosexual. Yeah, and he also passed away from HIV.
exactly, a famously heterosexual. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, famously. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and then Zach, I'm gonna say you had Out of Time and your number 10.
I did, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the
of
thing is,
course. Okay.
I can't say that it wasn't entertaining because it was an entertaining movie. The very first thing I wrote in my notes was this kind of has a sense of a TV movie actually, which made sense. Carl Franklin
Yeah.
did come. He came from TV, but it's
Yep.
clever, it's entertaining. It's got I don't dislike the constant zoom ins and quick cuts, but there was just some ridiculousness to it. Like you can only get away with
Yeah.
so much shit. But to give you credit, I also saw a very paranoid, scared kind of like that. It wasn't the usual Denzel, so I didn't want to say, "Oh God, no, that this can't be." It's just to me, it's the worst. It's not necessarily the worst performance, but as a whole, I just decided to put it at 10. And like I said, I had Philadelphia at 9. So, but I
Yeah.
don't.
Well,
What
I don't think, although he's pretty much paranoid and sweating,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's got that thinking look, but I don't think it's a movie where Denzel is showing his range, right?
No, no.
It's a genre movie. It's a classic, mistaken man
Yeah,
crime,
yeah.
and again, I have a personal connection with this movie because I watched it when I was sick and in the hospital, and it's entertaining as hell. I
Oh,
do
yeah,
love
for
it,
sure. Yeah.
and I'll agree with you. We'll put it at 10 with Philadelphia at 9, definitely. But it's just such a fun movie. I mean, trying to stay one step ahead of the detective on the case, you can get me on that with any movie. You
Yeah.
know, where there's a guy who's in the inner workings of the police department and he's trying to stay one step ahead of everybody else. It's just fun. Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
there are a lot of fast cuts, and it moves along a lot. They kind of not brush through the storytelling in the first 20 minutes, but they do kind of rush it along. I think it's like
Yeah.
an hour 49 minutes or so. So looking at that, as moviegoers that we are, if I see a movie at hour 49, I know they're not going to take a lot of time
Mhm.
storytelling and character building. They're going to get right into the action of it. But again, I have a personal connection with this movie. I absolutely loved it. Rewatching it, I think it's fair to say this is kind of a TV movie.
Yeah, yeah. Again, we both agreed. Entertaining. It's just,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. All right, so at 7, I had
We got it.
Inside Man.
Oh, you had, because I mean, did you skip over 8?
No, I'm going to go. So 7, I had Inside Man, and then I
Okay.
actually had American Gangster at 8.
Oh, no shit. Damn, dude.
Yeah,
Okay. I had
I know.
American Gangster at 7, so,
Okay,
but
we're right on there. Where'd you have Inside Man?
I had Inside Man at 4, bro. I really enjoyed
Wow.
that movie. I've
Okay.
always, I mean, ever since, sorry, I squeaked a little, but yeah, ever since I saw that movie, and I think I saw it when I was in Iraq, I was like, this is fucking awesome, dude. I just liked how, I mean, it's a very clever movie. It's a
It
great New York
is.
City movie, and it's got probably one of the best, it's probably one of the most creative screenplays about bank heist, in my opinion. It's,
Definitely.
and it's another example of, similar to last week when we talked about De Palma and Mission Impossible with Spike Lee. If you give him a solid script and a studio
Yep.
backing, I think it elevates his game. Which I
Definitely.
know, as I'm saying that, it's like you might be able to say that about any decent filmmaker. Was like, well, yeah, if he has a great script and the cast that he has, of course it's going to be a good movie. But I mean, Spike Lee's got his
Yeah, but
own touch.
Spike Lee is going to add his own style and
Yeah,
pizzazz.
for sure.
And of course, his connection to New York, I think, adds a little bit to it
Hmm.
because,
Hmm.
2006, but there's still, there's one scene where I think Denzel and oh, Ejiofor are talking, and there's a remember poster of 9/11 right there. So
Hmm.
he's going to add into that, New
Yeah,
Yorker. He's born and bred New York. He's all about New York. So he's going to add that in, and then you put a movie where Denzel is going to be a detective, where he's going to be able to kind of be in his wheelhouse, where he's just having fun. I honestly, rewatching it, I'm like, Denzel's having fun in this movie.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
A lot of times Denzel plays characters where he has a lot of baggage. Uh,
Hmm.
he's either a drunk or he has some past drama, or he's a detective that has things going on in the
He's always
background as in
flawed in
Training Day
some
that we'll
way.
talk about.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Inside Man, I just and he does have that with the whole check cashing thing that they
Hmm.
mentioned a few times, but they really don't spend a lot of time on that. And
No,
I just think
barely any
he's
time
just
actually.
slick. Keith Brazier. How he says that, and that
Dude.
how he talks to Willem Dafoe, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I had a thing with him years back, and let's give him
Hmm.
some time to cool off." And I just think Denzel's having a lot of fun in this movie.
Yeah.
But rewatching them, it sounds like I surprised you having it so low on my list. But again, I think it's one of those movies that, yes, he's top billed, but it's also Christopher Plummer, Jodie Foster, Clive Owen. They spend a lot of time with the bank robbers and the hostages. So, I had it at 7. I definitely see why you would have it at 4, because again, we're doing Denzel performances, and he's
Hmm.
just he's a slick guy in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's playing a detective that's trying to keep up with the bank robber. He's definitely smart. The way he talks to Jodie Foster, it's, hey, if you want to bump me up, I'm not going to stop you. But at the same time, I want to know what the fuck is
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on.
Hey, I'm just messing. If I make first grade when I make first grade, you know what I mean? I
Hmm.
don't.
Exactly. But I don't think he has as much screen time as some of these other movies that we had. So that's why I
Yeah.
had it. kind of a little lower on my list.
I mean, it's that's a just
So
reason, you know.
if I had it at 7 and you had it at 4, I think we should put it either at 5 or 6.
No, I mean, let's put it at. I'd say let's put it at 6.
All right. So then I jumped ahead, like you said. I kind of skipped 8. I had American Gangster at 8,
Okay.
which was very surprising on the rewatch because I originally had it at 6, and then I dropped it down after I rewatched all the films. Again, I do think it's a great performance on his part. He's very stoic, but yet intimidating. It's a great movie. Again, I think they spend pretty good amount of time with other characters.
Yeah, what you got to?
Obviously,
I
it's
mean,
Denzel's movie, but again, we're also doing this as what we enjoy. And
yeah,
I just enjoyed him in other movies and thought he had better acting performances in better movies. So I put it at 8.
yeah.
What did you have at What did you have at 7 and 8? Well,
I
you had
actually had I had American Gangster at 7, and really it wasn't so much his performance. This was one of those where it's kind of the balance between what we were saying, his performance, but also a movie as a whole. And I think with American Gangster, he had obviously a pretty solid performance, but I've always kind of felt like even ever since I first saw American Gangster that there was just a lot missing. Like it was too big of a story for just a movie. Like
Yeah,
there was a lot of pieces missing.
definitely.
I guess that always kind of bothered me a little bit. Not that it's a bad movie. I enjoy it. I've rewatched it multiple times. Just and I think it was a way to try to convince myself that it was better than it actually is. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
had
think
it
it's
at
one of those rare Denzel. I think it's one of those rare Denzel movies where had they made it like a Netflix or an Amazon Prime like a limited series, they had like 4 episodes, 5 episodes.
yeah.
We could have
Well,
delved into it a little more because it's like, okay, he's Bumpy's guy. Bumpy gets knocked off real quick in the movie,
yeah,
and then he's flying to Vietnam like within a half an
yeah,
hour.
yeah. The way I kind of the my very last notice, this movie's almost as if like they made one season of The Wire into a movie. Like there's so much
Right?
like
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so many pieces
yeah.
that you
It's kind of.
need that aren't there, and yeah, it's just yeah.
I
But
would bet the
here's
original cut is like 4 hours, and then they're
no
like,
probably
okay, you can't do
yeah,
that. So then,
yeah.
what'd you have at 8?
I actually had Fences, dude, and there's a part of me that
Oh,
put it that far back because I kind of thought you would put it that far back. I don't. I know I shouldn't let you influence my ranking,
okay.
but it's also
Yeah, don't do
the
that.
the ones that I have ranked before Fences are not obviously epics, but it's like you said, they have solid. I mean, it's. I don't think his performance in Fences is any more or any less than honestly American Gangster or Man on Fire. So I just kind of once I established that,
Yeah,
even though I thought he had a good performance in Fences actually, but just like yeah, it was just that balance.
I, you know, I get that, and I've said this before. There are several movies that Zach had that I did not have. I had not seen before we discussed this podcast. Fences was one of them, and originally I had it ranked at 10, just because looking at the synopsis of the movie, not much goes on, right? It's
Right, right.
about a family in the 50s, and
It's
but
like
rewatching it or watching it for the first time, holy shit.
yeah, I mean, and it's like I said, for it's a stage to screen movie, so it's not. There's no
Yeah. Oh, and you
freaking
can totally tell.
yeah, yeah. It's oh here you're in the kitchen, you're in the living room, and you're in the backyard. That's all you got, dude. Like that's and I
That's
like I
that
said,
all
I'm
is
always
all you get.
yeah, I'm always impressed when you can. Which I understand that stage to screen is mainly about dialogue, and we're both big dialogue guys, so it helps, and that
Yep.
the how it was written and Denzel's performance, maybe I might have put too much stock into the simplicity of everything. Even though, dude, I'll tell you this right now. I think Viola Davis out fucking performed Denzel in that movie. and that's probably one of the reasons I put it at 8 because I think she fucking rocked in that movie. I don't know if she won the
Yeah,
Oscar for that or not. Shit, I
she's
probably
definitely going for broke. She, and
yeah. I mean,
and then in the play aspect, reminded me a lot of David Mamet, who's one of my
oh
favorite
yeah,
writers, who has done a lot of play writing, and then it's kind of taken a few plays and turned them into movies. I actually watched this, with Jesse, and we both went into it like, all right, I have to watch this for this pod. I'm not expecting a lot.
hmm
I mean, like I said, holy shit! In the first full scene, I literally wrote in my notes, "Damn, Denzel is
yeah,
in full character here." Like he's just going on. It's about the baseball and the colors, and
hmm
Jackie can't play on half of the teams, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and he really, and again, because he directed the movie, and it tells me that he has a little bit of personal stock in it.
yeah, for sure.
I thought, I mean, I was blown away by the movie. I was enthralled the whole time. I thought it was like we kind of said, it's not one that I would go to if I'm in a good mood in order to have a rewatch. But I really think, yeah, him and Viola Davis really bought into the characters, really, wanted to kind of put their acting on display, and how Denzel, he's so jovial in some scenes, and he's so hateful in other scenes, and then the
Yeah,
storytelling with it where they don't, really talk about his affair. It's not, they're sitting down and it's,
yeah.
oh, I had an
It's
affair with so and
it's
so, and then
it's
this
very
happened, and that.
nonchalant, dude.
It's
Yeah,
very, yeah. It's like one of the character actors like asks him about her, and it's kind of puts a bug in the viewer's ear where, oh, there's something there, and then
yeah,
they don't really spend a lot of time on it, and then they jump forward, probably like 6 months or 8 months or almost even a year, and
yeah,
they don't beat you over the head with the storytelling, which I appreciate in this. And I kind of thought, the father son fighting thing is a little hokey, little, could
yeah,
have been a little better. But
yeah.
again, originally I had it at 10, and I put it at 6 in my final rankings. So
Okay.
for you to have it at 8 and me have it at 6, I think we can kind of agree that it's going to be at 7.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because an American Gangster at 8. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And then Inside Man 6.
Okay, that works for me.
So my number 5 movie, Remember the Titans.
Oh, that was mine too. Remember the Titans.
All
Yeah.
right, perfect. Um,
He makes a football
like,
movie. Denzel, who I think I'm under the impression that in real life the coach was a huge fucking douche. Coach Boom was like a complete asshole, and I was like, well,
yeah,
obviously Disney can't put that dude on the
yep,
screen, so you got to put Denzel, who I was the way I
yeah. That's
wrote.
not going to sell tickets.
Yeah, and the way I put it is like, dude, yeah, Denzel's obviously the type of coach that you would fucking hate but love. Like it's a love hate thing because you hate what he's doing to you, but you also know he's going to get the best out of you,
But
and that's yeah,
exactly. And again, doing some of the research, the biggest thing that I found about the research that kind of disappointed me was, in the movie, they're the only school that's integrated.
but in
But in
reality,
real life, every other school that they played was
was
integrated. So the whole thing, where I think it's in training camp or whatever, we're like, yeah, we're the only school that's integrated. So,
yeah,
we don't only have to
yeah,
go through them, we also have to go through this.
yeah.
And it's
They
like,
don't have to deal
that's
with
just not
race.
true.
We do. Yeah.
Hmm.
hmm
And it's not true. And then, some of the things I read, it kind of sounds like, yes, they went undefeated that year, but it didn't really sound like, some of his coaching strategies were the reason. It was because they
hmm
had great players, and he kind of just, give them the ball and let them do their thing.
Yeah.
So, but again, my first experience with Denzel, John Brown Hyde parts, I could listen to him say that all day long, right? And then the whole thing with Gary Bertier and I forget his little sidekick in the beginning where he's like
Right.
clapping in front of them. He's like, "Oh, you must be the blah." Like,
Oh yeah, Dean Martin.
just
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You're
exactly. It
Gary
just comes
Lewis.
out
Yeah,
like, okay, you guys aren't running the show here. I'm running the
yeah.
show, and that's classic Denzel, right? But
And
but
hey,
again, I kept waiting throughout the movie, like, all right, when is Denzel going to be like, get your fucking ass fucking, and it never comes, right? Because it's a Disney movie. But
yeah,
again, I think it's a nostalgia thing with me, and Remember the Titans. It's enjoy. I rewatched it, just enjoyable, and it's just
yeah.
fun, and everybody's having a good time, and
You
they
mix
don't
my.
really knock you over the head with the racism. Nobody ever says the N word, and
I was just gonna say that,
you
dude.
know
Yeah, and
because I
it.
think if we were to like if this were produced and directed by different people, I think it'd be a much different movie, and I think it'd be a lot more vulgar, and I think it'd be a lot more true to how it was back
Yeah, the
then.
reality. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
but I think Disney played it safe. I think the biggest
They had to. Yeah,
thing, other than the Coach Coon remarks and shit like that, which I was like, oh damn, okay, they did kind of cross that line a little bit. But I think what really nailed home to me, I think the most about the racism is when I can't remember the quarterback's name, something Bass, the California kid.
Ronnie Bass. Ronnie Bass.
Ronnie
Yeah,
Bass, and he tries to, oh no, it's on me, no, it's gonna be cool, and they go into the restaurant, and he's like, yeah, if, you boys want food, you can go back around, and
regular kitchen. Yeah, yeah,
Donald Faison, they come out, he pushes him in the back, and he's like, well, I didn't know, and he's like, what you mean that you didn't know? I told you. How can you
yeah,
say you didn't
yeah,
know? And I think that was kind of the most that was like, yeah, shit. I mean, I'm sure there were some white people back then who just weren't cognizant of how far it went back.
yeah, yeah.
But since
Understand.
Denzel's fun, and it was my first experience with him, so I have it at
Well,
5. I think you said you had it at 5.
yeah. I mean, it's mix football in with my two favorite things: football and movies, dude. Gotta
Yeah,
meet
exactly.
in the middle. Let's go to
And
5.
it's so fun, and you
It
get to
is.
see Ryan Gosling dance. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, he
um,
definitely he put on some muscle after that movie for sure.
yeah. But real quick, I have the final standings here. But what did you have at 6?
I had Man on Fire at 6.
Ooh, okay.
And really the main reason I put it at 6 was I mean, I enjoy it. I'd probably put it at 4, but I can understand, like, because I remember we talked about this like months ago, like last summer or something. And you were like, "Man, I just that the style, like the cinematography,
Yeah.
and how that." And then I was like, "Well, yeah, shit. I'll probably put it back just a little bit because I can understand where that type of lapse photography, 6 frames a second, that high speed shit,
Yep. Cutting
that
here and there. There's like that
yeah,
green.
yeah. There's like a
He really
yeah."
does the green
There's like a chemical manipulation. I have that all
lens
written
of it.
down in my notes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. High
But
contrast,
and
deep
I said
saturation.
Ridley, but I meant Tony Scott.
Tony, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the green filter, and it's yeah. So I did make that comment, but after rewatching it, I had it at 4,
Nice.
and it looks
Shit.
like that's where we're gonna end up with it because we've already filled 5 and 6. So
Yeah, yeah,
Man on Fire at 4, and I did make that comment. I remember watching it back in the day, and I maybe had watched it again because somebody was over at my house, and it was like, oh, Denzel, it's just a great movie. I just remember thinking, God, it's just a little much, right?
yeah, yeah.
But then I rewatched it last week, and damn, that is just an entertaining movie. you know, and Denzel's great in it, and the line that I have written down in my notes, Mark Anthony's like asking him, anything I should know about you, or yada 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 about being a bodyguard, and Denzel just says, I drink.
Yeah, yeah. Because he was
He
looking at his
doesn't
resume.
say
It's like, your resume's impressive. How can anybody like
Yeah,
get you? Yeah,
I drink.
yeah,
And there's just a lot in that. How he says it and his face when he says it, like, hey, you take me as I am. But
yeah,
this is the reason, I've been kind of looked over. And then, the first car ride with PETA, she's super smart, inquisitive, and Creasy's just kind of shut out, like, hey, I'm here to protect you. We're not going to
yeah.
have that sort of relationship. And I really enjoyed how the film kind of breaks it down. And, by the end, he's yelling at her on the side of the swimming pool as she's going down up in laps. And
Well, and it's like Christopher Walken says in the movie, t- she taught him how to live again, and that obviously
yeah,
brought that
exactly.
that bond that motivated the vigilantism and shit. Which you gotta love it. Yeah,
And then
love a good.
another good monologue from Walken during that movie. It's like, yeah, Creasy's art is death, and he's about to
He's
paint
about
his
to paint his
masterpiece.
masterpiece. Yeah,
Yeah. And that's when the movie goes from, heartfelt, Creasy's, a stone, and they're showing, flashes of him in his apartment where he's just getting drunk on his off time,
hmm
and then he's with her, and then that bond kind of forms, and you're like, oh, this is a sweet movie. Denzel's so nice, and
yeah,
he's coming
he's,
around.
he's,
And then there's a point like literally halfway through where she gets taken, and why would you leave the apartment if because he was already seeing kind of some red flags from cars, and then just tell her to go back in the apartment.
yeah, yeah,
Don't tell her to run, tell her to go back in the apartment. But at that point it's like, all right, Denzel's pissed and things are going to get real,
yeah,
and it just
and,
goes on an hour long death march pretty
yeah.
much.
And even before that, like when not to go too far back, but when Denzel's warming up to PETA, and he's like, all it is just that simple. Like I like how subtle the writing is, where it's well, you're the fastest in the water, but you're the slowest off the block. You're the
Off the
slowest
block.
out, yeah, off the block. So what do you need to
Off
do?
the block. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get off the blocks. There you go. And that's really how it
Yeah. and he
starts. Just something
and
simple
he's
like,
got
yep.
those two bricks, and he's slapping them
hmm
together. Yeah, I really thought it was good subtle writing where again they didn't, okay, we're gonna make it sappy between them, or there's something big that's gonna happen that make them like each other. No,
Yeah,
she just breaks him down little by little, and Denzel's performance in there, he is a stoic drunk in the beginning,
yeah.
telling her, hey, I'm not here to be your friend, I'm here to protect you.
hmm
And then by the halfway of the movie he's all into it. And again, another line that I really loved is from him and how he performed a good line reading. you know Forgiveness is between them and God, my job
Yeah,
is to arrange the meeting.
yeah.
And just
It's good.
how he presents that, how he does that line reading, like, yeah, this is a good Denzel. Not only is it an entertaining film, it's a good Denzel performance. And I
Yeah.
was kind of shocked how much I enjoyed it because, like you said, I was kind of critical of it.
Well, and it's really hard to rewatch movies when you remember your initial reaction to it or how you
Yeah, you're
felt the
going
first time
in,
you watched. You're like, God damn it! Like, I really don't want to freaking rewatch this, but I will anyway. I mean, we for the pod and shit. So
and what you're getting with Tony Scott. There's going to be a lot of fast cuts. The camera's going to be moving. Even when they're doing a face to face or conversation, he's going to be zigzagging the camera. It's not
yeah,
going to be just
well,
actors on the mark on the floor, and he's going to shoot it like Gordon Willis, where nobody moves. And I want this shot. It's Tony Scott. It's going to have a lot of cuts and
well,
motions, actions, and
and I think this not to get off topic, but because I remember when I was trying to find the right movies to put on my list, I watched Crimson Tide, and he Tony Scott kind of shot Crimson Tide the same way he shot True Romance, like the spotlight beating down, and it just like as I was watching Crimson, I was like,
yep,
dude, you can't like it doesn't work for Crimson Tide. It worked great for True Romance. I love that movie, but what he did after Man on Fire was he kept that same style, the blurry, the all the freaking the camera manipulation, deep saturation, that orange. He used that throughout the rest of his. movies, and I was like, well, I thought it worked great for Man on Fire. I don't
It's
know.
his style.
I don't necessarily know if it works for the Taken of Pelham 1, 2, 3, but it worked for Man on Fire. But not to he's deceased
Yeah,
now, so I don't want to.
and that's his style, and I
Yeah,
get that. And Denzel had worked with him before, so he knew kind of what he's getting to. And then it is important for us to point out, and I meant to mention this at the beginning before we started to go into our movie selections. We are aware that Denzel has made a ton of good movies,
yeah, yeah.
and you know we do realize we left off some ones that people are going to say, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" He mentioned Crimson Tide, Courage Under Fire is another one,
The
Pelican
great
Brief is another.
the Great
Yeah,
Debaters
exactly.
apparently is quite. They say that's a really good movie that I haven't got to yet, but we're just
The Siege is another good one, and then a movie that I know Zach and I both enjoy very much and enjoy Denzel's performances is Flight,
yeah,
which I was talking to one of my buddies because he asked, what's the topic this week, and I said Denzel, and he's like, "Oh, Flight, that movie." It's like, yeah, that is a good movie, and Denzel does a hell of a performance in there. But hey, this is our fucking pod.
yeah. This is
So
our
we're gonna put what we think is on there, and
yeah,
then we're gonna mention these honorable mentions, and I do think those films, especially the movie Flight, to me it's probably number 11,
yeah, yeah. I could see that.
just because that's Denzel's movie. He's in 85% of the movie. He's going for broke on it. It's not on the top 10, so I don't want to go too far in it. But Zach and I did do a practice pod, and Flight was mentioned, and we had a
Yeah,
good time talking about it.
yeah. We did.
Okay, so our top three. Neither of us had mentioned any of these, so it looks like we're going to be at least a little in sync here.
Yeah.
My number three, Malcolm X.
Okay. Okay. I got Malcolm X at 2, but close enough.
Okay.
I mean,
Uh, it's a long fucking movie,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I mentioned it when you were introducing it. I would describe it as an epic. It
Hmm.
really is. It's a sprawling movie. To go from his early years, and not super early. It doesn't talk about his childhood or anything like that, but they
A
jump
little bit.
in. Spike makes his cameo, and
Shorty. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, when I was watching it, it was great. There's that shot where both of them are walking down the street in their pimp outfits,
yeah. They had that
and
walk.
they're swinging their arm, and Spike's like, "No, do this," "No, do that." And at that, I was like, "Okay, this movie's fun. This is and then it goes into God. I mean, there's so much to talk about Malcolm X. Like I said, it's 3 hours worth. It's the guy's whole life. It's one of the movies again I had not seen before Zach put it on his list, and uh, I thought I was going to rank it lower, and I have it at three just because I do think the top two movies kind of take the cake, as they so to speak. But the big thing
Would
I wrote, and I have a lot of notes on the movie, but I wrote in all caps, Denzel can give a speech.
yeah,
When Denzel has a monologue and he's playing a character that has some authority, he is one of the most entertaining and attractive actors. And
yeah,
I mean, he's speaking, and I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat, and maybe I don't agree with everything he's saying, and with the thoughts that he had about the interracial, time in America. But holy cow, I was just literally on the edge of my seat, just completely enthralled with what he was saying. And it's
yeah.
because, like I said, damn, Denzel can give a speech. When he
Well,
talks, people listen.
yeah. And can I just? I wrote a quick little paragraph on why I. Well, I mean, it's not why I had Malcolm X at 2, but it's just. I'll just read it off quick if you don't mind. Maybe it'll convince you to put it at
Yeah,
2.
no, hit
I've seen
hit
enough
us.
movies in my I've seen enough movies in my time where nothing really emotionally surprises me. Of course, certain
Yeah.
films have shocking moments, but what I mean is I rarely watch a movie and I'm just in complete awe over a performance. But this one struck a nerve where
Hmm.
I feel like I'm eyewitnessing an actor performing the role he was born to play. That's what this film did to me. It altered my opinion on Denzel, not
Wow.
entirely, but just enough to quit calling him overrated. Now you just mixed that movie with a Scorsese style of direction, and you got to mix in Spike Lee's own creative moves, and you get
Ooh.
a top Denzel picture. I don't know if that's enough to move it up to two, but and what I had for sorry, we're talking about Malcolm X right now, but I was gonna go what I had at
Yeah.
number three was Training Day,
Okay.
and I
All
just
right.
wrote it
So
as
we got
it's
a.
I think it's Denzel's most complete film, and it was just an incredible performance, but not just an incredible performance from Denzel, but also a great street movie. That's not I wouldn't say it overly complex, but it's a raw movie, I would say. But those what I had at two and three.
No, and it's hard for me to to say anything opposite of that. And yeah, it is. I think it was mentioned by several people at the time where if there was going to be a movie made about Malcolm X, Denzel is the man to do it because he
Yeah,
does have that range. And in the early scenes, he's a smart ass, he's tough, he's
yeah,
funny,
yeah,
and then it kind of comes through where he's the numbers runner in that Russian roulette scene. You're like, wow, Denzel is. I believe that he's ready to do anything, right. His character won, but he's playing it so well. And then as a hustler and a thief, like, that's kind of Denzel's wheelhouse. We see later in his career, but like you said, he's really raw in this movie. And
yeah,
Spike Lee doesn't, you know he does add his pizzazz to the movie, but he's not juicing it up, right.
yeah, yeah.
He's not making anything over elaborate. And again, this was a movie that I had not seen before, and I loved it. I put it at three just because you having Training Day at three, I think is a little debate because I think that you think he's going for it and he's a little over the top, but
I
it's his Oscar winning film.
Yeah, yeah. But
You know, it,
if
it's
I
his
would
role. If anybody talks about Denzel, if there's ever a talk in a bar or a bunch of friends talking and Denzel comes up, Training Day is the movie people talk about.
Well, I would say for our generation it is. I would say a Denzel fan would probably say Malcolm X. I would say a traditional the average like you were saying, the average dude at a bar that watches Denzel movies occasionally or isn't even a full-blown movie buff who's probably only seen like 3 of these movies. Yes, Training Day is probably the one that they watch, but I would say if you're a hardcore moviegoer, which we're not saying we are,
No,
we're
average
probably in the
Jives.
middle of the pack, I would say, but I
We're
would
just a couple average Jives.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I would say most people I would disagree and say most people would say Malcolm X, but I think
But
you
at
putting
this,
that no go ahead,
I
go
had
ahead.
Training Day at one because it's such a fucking fun movie from beginning to end. It's, I mean, the scene with him and Hoyt in the coffee shop, I think, is the first time you see him, and he's like, "Tell me a story." He's like, "No, not tell me your story. Tell me a story. I'm reading a paper. It's got stories in it. A lot of it's bullshit, but it's entertaining."
But it's entertaining.
And then it's like, boom.
Yeah, and he points at him,
It's
like,
just,
see, yeah,
yeah, and it's just a fun movie. It's Denzel's movie. Yes, obviously, Malcolm X is Denzel's movie because he is, I think, on screen probably 90% of that movie. Beginning to end, it's Denzel. It's not particularly a fun movie,
no, not at all,
which is,
no,
and I'm not saying Glory is either. I had Glory at two, Malcolm
yeah,
X
yeah.
three, Training Day one.
Okay.
So here we're gonna have to someone's gonna have to bend because I think Training Day is his best performance. He got recognized for the Oscars. It's yes, he was on the map with Malcolm X and Glory, and he was nominated for supporting with Glory, won for
No, he
supporting.
won. He won for
Yeah,
Lori.
won for supporting. So it's not that he was a nobody, but Training Day is. I would think a majority of America is like, holy shit, you see that guy Denzel Washington in Training Day? He's such a
Well, because
badass villain. And then I think his most memorable line of any movie he's ever been in is the King Kong line. And that line
yeah.
comes from this movie. So I have it at number one.
Okay. Well, you want to listen to a quick note that I had before
Of course.
before we started the pod. My note was in preparation in case you didn't have Malcolm X or Glory in your top five. My was going to be, you can call it pulling rank, pulling producer rank, or because I'm older and wiser, that these two movies had to be in the top five, and that was
Definitely.
Glory and Malcolm X. And
Mm-hmm.
you already have them in the top three.
Top
My
three. Top three.
my compromise was going to be, well, I don't care where you put Malcolm X or Glory in the top five. So, I mean, my compromise to that would be let you take Training Day at one, and the yeah, dude.
But then you have Glory. You have Glory at number one.
Yeah, and but the whole
Wow.
reason I'd probably put even I'll give you putting Glory back a little bit is because it's similar to Philadelphia and American
Yep.
Gangster. He's not the one
Yep.
that's carrying this movie. There's
No.
shitload of terrific actors in this movie actually, and then you mix it in the. Not only do I love movies based on history, but military history, and again, it's one of probably the greatest Civil War movie ever made, and with that
Definitely.
great score by James Horner and yeah, I to me, Glory is more of a yeah. It, what we
I.
said earlier, it's not about just his performance. I kind of put his performance because it is
No.
an Oscar-winning performance, and I kind of put the
Mm-hmm.
story. It's a great story. It's a very inspiring story, and in the end, it's still to this. It's one of the few movies that I still get goosebumps when I watch, and that's when they're they just fought that one battle and they're about to take Fort Wagner, and everybody knew that. I mean, they were probably not going to make it. And then you see them walking by
Walking by.
the all white brigade, and then he's just like,
Oh yeah.
"Give them hell,
They go
54."
back and forth.
Yeah, when they're
Yep.
yeah. I mean, dude, and I still as they're on the beach ready to march, you just feel that man, dude. I want to fucking be charging with them and shit. It just and
For
emotionally,
sure.
it drives me. It makes me. It is a sad movie, but you also know that I'm kind of drawn to depressing movies too for some reason. I don't know if it's
And war movies, because
yeah.
for those who don't
I,
know, Zach is a veteran, and he did serve our country. And again, I
we,
appreciate you. Thank you for your service. But you
thanks,
do,
bro.
yeah,
Thanks.
you do have that affinity for movies, especially a Civil War movie. I think his best, yeah, the last scene where he's charging up after Matthew Broderick goes up, and then the back and forth with the white battalion that walks by, both great. But when he's being whipped,
Yeah, yeah.
and his eyes at Matthew
When he,
Broderick,
yeah, when
that's
he's
the
just,
the biggest one. I had it in bold letters. Damn.
yeah.
That's all.
Because I
That's all
think
I wrote for that.
the teardrop came after they had
The,
he had called cut, but the camera kept
yep.
rolling. That's when he caught the
Yeah.
tear, and
A
that's
single
yeah,
tear coming down. I wrote damn, and then underneath it, I wrote no wonder he won the Oscar.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, and then they reveal all the scars on his back already, and then the guy kind of hesitates,
yeah. Like,
and
hey, are you
Denzel,
sure you want me to do this? Yeah,
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 and Denzel doesn't flinch at all. He's like, all right, I've been through this before. I know
yeah.
what's
He
going to
doesn't.
happen.
Yeah,
There's no fear at all.
yeah. He even spits at him too. Yeah,
Yeah, his eyes while he's being whipped, and just locked on Matthew
hmm
Broderick. I mean, if you're another actor in that movie and that scene is playing, you're just throwing up a white flag. Like, okay, well,
Yeah.
this guy knows what he's doing.
Hmm.
But I do have to say, um, Andre Brower in this,
That's it. Brower. Yeah.
he,
Yeah. Shit.
he's
Yeah.
good,
He's good too. I'm telling you,
dude.
man. Like, and
He's fantastic in this movie.
it's
I kept saying it. I wrote down later in my notes. Andre Brower is excellent.
yeah.
I and Matthew Broderick, in my opinion, not such a great actor. I see him as Ferris pretty much every time I see him. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I
I
guess.
have
Yeah.
a little bit of, I have a little bit of baggage, obviously, with him. But in my opinion, it's Andre Brower and Denzel in this movie. Those are my takes. Those are
Morgan
my
does great
takeaways.
too, man. This.
Yeah,
I mean.
no, it's not. In that first scene where you see Denzel and they're in the tent, and there's the other African American soldier who, isn't all there, and kind of Denzel's going after him, and Morgan kind of reels him back, and then Denzel goes after Morgan, and it's
Yeah.
like, holy cow, you're going toe to toe with Morgan Freeman right there.
Hmm.
That's a hell of a performance. So
Yeah.
I had Glory at 2 because of all this.
Hmm. Throw a
I
little
know we're in a kind of
curveball
a
in here,
quandary.
Jared. I mean, it's
You had Glory, Malcolm, Training. I had Training, Glory, Malcolm. So
Malcolm. Well, here's let's do this. I'm kind of coming up with my own.
you're on the fly. That's
I'm
what we
doing
do
the.
best.
I mean, I'll compromise, but here's the. I'm not gonna go Training Day completely catapults. But I mean, yes, we can put Training Day at 1, but let's put Malcolm X at 2 and Glory at 3 because as
Okay.
much as I'm putting I think, yeah, I'm kind of going against what we agreed on, like because Denzel obviously won the Oscar for Glory, but it's not. He's still a pretty big supporting role, I
Well, he won
guess. Even though,
supporting. Yeah.
yeah. So let's just do that because
Yeah.
I mean
I know it kills you to put Training at 1, but
yeah,
it's
which in all honesty, like I said when I wrote the notes prior to recording the pod, that was always going to be my negotiation with you. Like if you had Glory and Malcolm X past, like
4.
if they were
Yeah.
at like
No.
7 and 9, I was gonna be like, hell the fuck no, dude. Put them in the top 5,
It's
and I wasn't gonna be like, well, they're in the top 5. I don't care about how the other movies are ranked. That's not how I was
yeah.
going to approach it. But that was how I was going to be like, well, if you want to put them at 4 and 5, I guess we'll debate the next 3. But since
This
you
would have been
already
a much longer pod had I had
yeah
them lower. And honestly, it kind of would have shaken my confidence in the pod,
yeah
or yours more so, because I'm added my beliefs. But and at the beginning, in my initial ranking, I had him a little lower because I hadn't
yeah
seen him. And
naturally
I love Inside Man. I love Remember the Titans. But then when you watch these movies and you look at Denzel's performances,
mm-hmm.
if I don't put Glory and Malcolm X in the top 3, I don't deserve to be doing a movie pod. I mean, seriously,
I
I
mean
crossed them out, and I like scribbled them out after trying to because for those listeners, Zach and I both do an initial rank, and then we watch the movies, and then we do another rank, and then, myself, I'm constantly scratching out and rewriting as I watch the movies.
arrows. You're
Yeah, I have a ton of
yeah
arrows here, and
yeah
it's like, no, this one's here, and then I scratch out that arrow, and I'm like, no, 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 up here. Yeah, I mean, his performance in Glory is, and again, he's a supporting role, so he doesn't have a lot of screen time. He's probably only in 30% of the movie, to be
I mean
honest,
yeah
because it's mostly Matthew Broderick,
yes it
right?
is yeah
He's
and
top
I
billed.
think
It's
it's like
it's
you said
circled around him.
he's Denzel splits 3 times. He splits screen time and lines with Morgan Freeman Brower. Like
That too,
that's
and
yeah
Andre
yeah.
Brower.
So yeah, Brower
But
yeah
when he's on screen, that's when the movie clicks.
Yeah, yeah.
in my opinion. Yeah, and honestly, having it at 3 is even questionable. But Malcolm X, again, an epic where he is the main character. It's kind of surprising that he didn't win the Oscar for that role, but I think the
Pacino won
Academy,
it that year for Son of
who
a
did?
Woman. Pacino won it
Oh
for
my
Son of a
god!
Woman that year. Oh
Wow,
god. You're like,
that
oh
makes it that makes it even more depressing.
shit.
Just for those who aren't big Oscar goers, that's a travesty. Pacino should
It
have
was a
won
makeup.
his Oscar in Godfather 2.
Yeah.
So for him to get it sent a woman, embarrassing. And then it knocked Denzel out from getting it. But for him in Glory, like I said, watching that movie when he's on screen, that's when the movie works the best, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And I I enjoyed the movie. I mean, from start to finish. When Matthew Broderick is on the screen, I'm like, you know, I don't believe him as a Civil War lieutenant or whatever his title was, but
Well, see, and I'm the exact opposite. I think he fits great because he looks
wow,
like a little
okay,
freaking kid, dude. I mean,
he does.
he became a colonel at 23, so Matthew Broderick kind of fits that mold, I guess. And like you said, Bueller was just a couple years before, I think, so he still
Yep,
had that high school feel to. I mean, I thought it worked.
yeah. People watching the movie are like, oh yeah, he was in high school 2 years earlier, so why wouldn't
Yeah,
he be a colonel in the Civil War?
yeah.
But
And the Civil
I
War.
mean, history will tell us. Like he won the supporting actor. I don't know the voting because they don't reveal that, but I would think that he won it by a landslide that year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
But Training Day, I think, you know, when Denzel passes on, I think it's the first movie that people will say.
yeah. I mean, I don't mind again putting it at one. I just I think it'll be a tie between the old timers would probably say Malcolm X. Our generation would probably say Training Day, but I'll give it since yeah, I'm good with putting Training Day at one because
Okay.
it is a good movie, and even I wrote in my notes under the number three ranking, it's Denzel's most complete film. It's a great performance and a great movie, even though
For
I'd
sure.
say Malcolm X and Glory both terrific movies, but yeah,
I think it's the most entertaining Denzel is, and he is the man in that movie, right? Like
yeah,
obviously he's the man in Malcolm X because he plays the titular character, so obviously he's going to be the man in it. But I think Training Day was his stamp on Hollywood like, hey, I'm a leading actor. I'm going to do my thing in these films. You guys need to recognize me right now. And
yeah.
then he was awarded with it. So,
And to
all
put it at
right.
number one could be justified because it was the only he that was the only villainous role he had on our list. So we can
Yeah,
put it
that's
at
true. Cuz he well, American Gangster, but you could say
yeah,
it's one of
yeah.
those good bad guys.
The anti-hero, yeah.
The anti-hero exactly.
Yeah.
But I think history and our listeners will agree Training Day number 1.
I just don't agree with it. I'm just kidding, dude. I'm over it. I'm past it.
Well, I'm the host, you're the co-host, so
I'm the producer, motherfucker.
okay, yeah, you got me on that one. All right, so we've agreed on the top 10, and
Hmm.
again, for the listeners who don't know the format, once we finally agreed and we've debated, we're going to go through the top 10 now, 10 to 1. And to sum it up, Out of Time at number 10, Philadelphia number 9, American Gangster at 8, number 7, Fences, Inside Man at number 6, 5, Remember the Titans, right in that middle spot, Man on Fire 4, Glory 3, Malcolm X 2, and the best and our favorite, maybe my favorite, maybe not Zach's favorite, number 1, Training Day.
It's a good list.
It's a phenomenal list, and if anybody disagrees with it, obviously we'd love to hear your thoughts and ignore them completely. But please comment, like, share us on Facebook, Instagram when we get there. Spotify is hopefully what we're going to be on,
And YouTube, yeah.
and YouTube. This has been the Average Jives podcast of our Denzel movies. My name is Jaron Grawl. I'm here with one of my best friends, Zach Zokel.
And hey,
Thank you
don't forget.
thank you so much for listening. And Zach, what do you have to say?
Yep, that's it. I'm signing off, bro. I'll talk to you later.
Cut.
Wrap. It's a wrap. Come back tomorrow. Fuck.